Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a couple of quick questions. First of all, I want to thank you for your work, Mr. Linick. We appreciate the oversight that you provide and the assistance you provide in making sure that the FHFA operates properly. First question relates to the money paid to the Treasury by the GSEs. The recent news reports surrounding the profits made by Fannie and Freddie and then subsequently remitted to the taxpayer seem to present conflicting information surrounding these payments and the debt owed by Fannie and Freddie. Based upon your knowledge of the situation, I'm hoping you can help to clarify this. The question is, do these payments reduce the $187 billion figure owed under the preferred stock purchase agreement?
The short answer is no. They don't pay down what's called the liquidation preference or Treasury's investments. And the way Treasury structured this is like an interest-only loan. So in other words, the payments to Treasury are like interest payments, but they don't pay down the principal, the $187.5 billion. And so the enterprises could pay $200 billion in interest, and that $187.5 billion would still not be paid down. And this was just a set up by Treasury through the PSPAs, the purchase stock purchase agreements.
So, and if the amount that is remitted by the agencies exceeds the amount of interest that's accrued, what happens in that circumstance?
Again, it doesn't pay down. It doesn't pay down the liquidation preference.
It's just a deposit.
It's just a deposit. It goes to Treasury. It goes to taxpayers, and ultimately, it's up to the Treasury to and FHFA and Congress to figure out, what's going to happen in the future.
And in what way could they pay down the outstanding principal obligation? Is there just no provision for that to happen?
I'm not aware of a provision like that in the PSPs, but that kind of, I would ask Treasury, obviously, how that would work. But based on my knowledge of it, there's no provision to pay that down, right. and they'll remain in conservatorship.
All right, thank you. Last question is really kind of an open-ended question. Both you and Director DeMarco have previously noted that the continued open-ended nature of the conservatorships creates challenges for the management of both FHFA and the conservatorships of Fannie and Freddie. And this is just a general question. Based upon your observations and your analysis, what do you see as the biggest challenges that are faced to date?
There's no doubt that uncertainty is the single most important challenge. I think this has an effect on oversight, which is obviously my role. It affects the agency, the enterprises, and from what I've heard, the market. On the agency side, it affects the agency's ability to recruit examiners and others, retain staff, and also develop long-term resource allocations. We don't know the fate of the enterprises, and that makes it very difficult. The conservatorship, as you mentioned, was meant to be a timeout, temporary, and no one anticipated, and I don't believe the agency had, that it would last this long. On the enterprise, it also affects morale for the agency. On the enterprise side, it certainly affects morale for them, and I've heard from the marketplace that without a set of rules, people don't want to dip their toe into the water.
So the lesson from that would seem to be that the sooner Congress can act, the better it would be in terms of the overall success for both the enterprises and FHFA.
I would agree with that.
Last question related to this is, are there any new challenges that you think might develop, or will the existing ones just continue to languish if Congress continues to linger in terms of resolving these issues?
Well, I think, as I mentioned before, the other major challenges as we continue to linger are shortfalls in oversight. Taxpayers, at the end of the day, could suffer if things just go on the way they are. I've mentioned that there are shortfalls in the conservatorship oversight, and there are shortfalls in the regulatory oversight with respect to identification of risk, management of risk, and enforcement. I see these things as problems going forward.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.